Okay, welcome back to the Caribou Media Outdoors podcast. With me this afternoon is Josh Kuehni from Endure Outdoors. How's it going, buddy?
Good, man. Good. I'm happy to be on finally. We've been talking about it for a while.
Yeah, back and forth.
Yeah. So
I appreciate it. I always try and think back about when I don't remember when your stuff started showing up in my feed on Instagram.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was
a couple of years now.
It's been a couple of years. I think
2 or 3.
We always resort back to it was probably something Dave from Hellcat. It was probably something.
Oh yeah.
I think he kind of connects everybody together.
Connected everyone.
Yeah, so that's awesome. So just for people who don't know you, give them a little bit of a blurb about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so been in the hunting game for about 12 years now. It's a big part of mine and my family. I got a wife, 4 kids, young kids. We moved up to Muskoka 8 years ago. Right now working with a contracting company as a manager, but live and breathe the outdoor lifestyle. So nice. Big staple in the home. It's how we like to fill our freezers and just be more independent and self-reliant. So it's a massive passion. And it's been something that I've pursued for quite a long time on a serious level and loving building the community. That's a beautiful thing with social media is meeting guys like you and building friendships and doing it as a group. So, yeah.
How did it all start for you? Was it was it with guns first? Yeah. Was it guns first? Was it bows? Was it?
Yeah. So
family.
When I was raised in Guelph, and we spent a lot of time up in Restoule in Ontario, where my grandparents lived. That's where my dad was raised. And they used to have a couple thousand acres up there of land. They were farmers. And as we were growing up, they severed off some land, but they saved 200 acres up there. And all through my childhood, we'd be going up through the summer and stuff, but sometimes in the fall too. So my first real experience with it was with my uncles and my grandpa. We'd go on hikes, shoot some grouse, that kind of stuff, shooting guns here and there. And then my first real hunt was when I was 14 or 15. I can't remember, but I went out with my uncle for his deer hunt on the farm. And I was just planning on tagging along, and we're sitting in the blind, and then a 7-point buck comes out in the field. I'm like, there's a buck. And he couldn't see it. It was like right down the hill, like 50 yards from us. And he's like, well, let me see it. And then he sees it, and he's like, hands me the 30-30. He's like, it's yours. I'm like, what? And so he like walked me through it. I put it on. He's like, put it right there. And I pulled the trigger. Buck dropped. And before the smoke cleared, my uncle was just running down the field, hooting and hollering that I got one. And so that was I shot my first buck when I was 14 or 15.
Nice.
And then I started kind of looking into it more. I was still in high school, but I still loved watching the videos. Canada in the Rough was like a big staple for me. I bought their first season DVD, and I rewatched that over and over and over on my parents' computer. And then as soon as I could get my outdoors card, my pal, I got it right away. And then I started just kind of doing it myself. My uncle, who's the main hunter, lives up in North Bay, so I didn't get to spend a lot of time with him. My dad used to hunt growing up, but not really into it. And so I basically from then on self-taught.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Once I started dating my wife a couple of years later was when I met some guys in her church who were big bow hunters. And so I started picking their brains, and right away I bought my first bow. It was a PSE Stinger used for like $300. Yeah. And then same thing, I kind of self-taught, knocking on doors and just trial and error. So most of my stuff was self-taught from there. But I kind of missed actually a big step is when I was 18, I was working in Bracebridge for a contractor as a laborer, and on Facebook I was following Dustin Rowe from Backcountry BC and Beyond, and just watching his stuff. And I've never been out west before, and so I sent him the 1 year an email saying, "Hey, I'm a young new hunter in Ontario. Love what you do. I want to come out." No answer. Next year, I just bombarded him on Facebook, bombarded him on email, wrote him a long email explaining my passion, saying, this is what I want. This is what I love. I want to come and learn. He emails me back and he's like, okay, I see that you've been like reaching out. He's like, give me your information. I gave him my information. He writes back, he's like, I bought you a plane ticket, be here next Friday.
Whoa.
Yeah. I was like, so it was like a week or two heads up. I think it was like, yeah, between a week and two.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh my gosh. So
Quit
like,
your job.
yeah, I went to my boss. I was like, listen,
I'm
out of
leaving.
here.
Yeah.
It was all, I only went out for 3 or 4 weeks.
You're either giving me the time or I'm quitting.
He gave me a gear list, and I went to Cabela's and didn't have money at the time. I bought like the cheapest frame pack, the worst boots, the most basic redhead camo, which I'm not knocking it, but for a Western hunt, it's
yeah.
So I show up and Dustin's jaw just drops at the airport, and he's like, no, you're not surviving. So he was
try
up and outfitting me with stuff. But then, I spent the next 3 or 4 weeks with him guiding and learning bighorn sheep. It was all on horseback and on foot, and it kicked my butt. But it just sparked like such a fire for the adventure side of things.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and he had no mercy. He was like, we're going up that mountain. You're carrying this stuff. Keep up or meet us at the top. And he would just go.
We'll get you on the way down.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Holy cow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you get the stinger and you're self-taught, you were saying?
Yep. Yeah, got the stinger. I got a couple pointers from the friends I made in that church, but we never really got together. So a lot of the stuff I just researched and learned, and I went to the bow shop. That's where I bought it from, and talked to James there a bunch. He kind of set me up, gave me the pointers of how to start, and then I did it. I had the old whisker biscuit, the cheapest of the cheap, and got my first doe that year, actually spot and stock with the bow.
Did it fit you okay? Because you got a super long draw line.
No, it did not, because I'm pretty sure it maxed out at like 28 or 29. Yeah. Which I was surprised they kind of sold it to me then, but because I'm a 31 and a half, and that's like, I still feel like it go a little longer.
Oh, really?
31 and a half. So no, it did not fit me. Had that bow for maybe 2 years, and then I got the Hoyt Charger new. Okay. And I love that bow. I sold it to my brother, and it was a beauty bow, but yeah, I kind of just cycled up into the different bows, but I got my first doe that first bow hunting year, which was pretty awesome.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. So what's your setup like now? What do you shoot?
So I have a 2018 Hoyt Double XL, and then I have the Winner's Choice bowstrings on it. I got the Trophy Ridge 5-pin on it, and then the AAE Pro Drop. And I love it. I've used it since 2018, same setup. And as much as I want to keep upgrading, it's mainly hard for me, as I'd love to even try prime, but finding the draw length is just hard. And I'm like, you know what? It's been flawless. I haven't had any issues. So eventually I'll switch, but I've also just loved Hoyt so far. So
they're so well built. You can almost use it as another tool.
Yeah. So, and if I buy another bow, I will not be selling. Like, I wish I kept the bows. That's a big mistake I've made in the previous years. And to be fair, it was mainly just, I didn't have the money to just buy more.
Yep.
And so even like all the guns I've sold, I'm like, why did I do that? Because now I have those guns. But once I got into bow hunting, I just sold my guns because I'm like, I'm putting all my money towards this.
Oh, so you got rid of all your guns?
I have guns now, but I would have had 11 more by now, and I sold those over the years because I'm like, well, I need a new tree stand. So I'm like, there goes a gun, bought a tree stand, bought some arrows.
Yeah. So, yeah. I've done the same and then regretted it, right? Yep. It's like, oh.
I know. So, but it's good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, is your wife into it too? I know that she's gone with you before. Is she?
We hunted a little bit when we were dating. She came out a couple times. She really wants to get into it, but once we got married, we started having kids and just kind of kept having kids, and it was just busy. So she does come out when we can as a family, and she came to Colorado for elk with me, but she wants to, but she's like rigid with when she gets into it. She's bow only. So I'm like, perfect. So we're looking at in the next year getting her at least a bow so she can start shooting with me and getting comfortable. And our kids are starting to get a little bit older and there'll be more time. So she definitely wants to. It's just been a crazy first 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just outside yesterday with my daughter. She's we're trying to get her draw length extended
Nice.
because she's done a bunch of. She got a lot taller now, so going through that, putting a new
What bow is
piece.
she shooting?
She's got the Diamond Infinite Edge Pro.
Oh yeah, perfect.
So it's great that you can just like, it just grows with them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's such a broad range.
And then my son has the Diamond Prism. So basically, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
As they grow up, it can kind of extend, and I think it goes from like 7 to 70 pounds or something crazy
wild.
like that. So
Wild.
it's just like crank, crank, crank. You know, move this a little bit, and hey, look at that! It's like it's brand new.
Yeah, that's perfect.
What kind of arrows are you using?
I'm using the killing sticks.
Killing sticks, okay.
Killing sticks. Yeah, I got a bunch of them when I was a couple of years ago. I was gonna go on like their pro staff stuff. Didn't end up doing it, but I was talking to the guy and he was just nice enough to send me some arrows. So still using those up. And then I use the Maxima Reds as well, which I've loved. I did use the Full Metal Jackets for a while.
Yeah.
Didn't love the cost, but I mean, they're all expensive now, but I just bent a few. And I decided to go back to the carbon. So but mainly the Maxima Reds and the killing.
Yeah, I heard those were really good. The Maxima Reds.
I've had no complaints, and most of my arrows, if it's a clean passer, even if I've hit the shoulder, like I've reused, check them out, and no problem.
Yeah, it's not. You don't hear a lot about Carbon Express.
No.
I know they're owned by Faraday Outdoors, who owns like
a ton.
Like,
yeah,
there's too many to list. But
yeah,
yeah, that's cool. And do you go back and forth between fixed and mechanical broadheads?
I did for a while, and then I really went to mechanical. I know that's a touchy subject for a lot of people and the pros and cons, but I don't know. Especially, I switched to about 5 years ago Grim Reapers, and I can't not use them.
The whitetail specials, right?
They're insane. I used them for 2 of my bears, 6 or 7 of my deer and turkeys, and it's just devastating. And I've never had a failure or any concern. And so,
yeah, that video you sent me is like,
oh,
if that doesn't sell them for everybody,
it's just insane. And is that the bear video?
Yeah,
and that's my buddy.
Goes right through.
Yeah,
it went up the hill and it rolled down the hill,
and then you can see as it's like exhaling the hole.
Gaping.
And so Mike, who's the one in that video who shot that was his first bear, and he was the guy who got me on to the Grim Reapers. He lived out west in Alberta, big hunter out there, moved here when I moved up here for this company. And so we've been hunting together, and he's the one who's like, you got to try these. And I was like, and at that time I was using fixed and I was using Slick Tricks, I believe, or Slick Tricks and Muzzies. And he's like, you got to try them. So I took him out for bear, and after the first shot, I'm like, done. And then I've just been using them. So, and then I got on with Crimson Talon there for a couple of years. And I used some of theirs. I loved
that's probably where because
that might have been.
We were both shooting them at the same time.
Yeah. And then I was using
is it the Cleaver?
The Cleaver. It flew pretty good. I didn't have any. I still need to get better at like my tuning setup, I think, for those kind of broadheads. Like even I experienced with those Iron Wills.
Right.
So I'm still not well versed in like the archery world as far as tuning your bow fully properly and all that kind of stuff. I would love to get more into it, but the Grim Reapers, I throw them on and darts.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's for both for bear and whitetail. It's just
bear, whitetail, and turkey. If I go with turkey, I like the mechanical. And they've been amazing for turkey. You just I kind of want to hit a little more forward. Or it depends on the orientation because they do a lot of damage and there's not a ton of meat on the turkey. So
there's not much left when you're done.
Yeah. Aim for the neck.
Yeah. So what made you want to start like your whole Instagram thing?
Yeah, so I was thinking about it for a while. I tried I went through probably from the time I got into hunting and kind of Instagram started. I picked a whole bunch of different names and was just like, no. And then once I moved up here, I was like, no, I want to start something. And then I met with a buddy of mine who's a graphic designer up in Huntsville. And he's like, well, let's just get together and talk about what your goal is and what you want to see. And he was going to help me do up the logo. And he was pretty good at being like, don't just pick like a name, like, because I went in basically just spewing off all this stuff. He's like, it sounds like you don't know what you want. So he's like, go home, pick some words that are like some meaning to you, some importance. What do you want this brand to represent? And so I did that. And then about a week or two later, I was talking with my wife and we were just talking through stuff. And I love, like, I'm in a way, I'm a sucker for pain. Like, I love pushing through hard stuff, hard workouts, whatever it is, signing up for a marathon. Just
cold plunges.
Cold plunges, mental toughness.
Right in the lake.
I like hard hunts. I like earning it. I like that. So endure popped in my head and I was like, well, that can be applied right across the board. And it's a beautiful name for hunting because you have to. Like, some hunts go perfect, but a lot of them you work for and you suffer. And a lot of times you go home empty handed and you got to keep enduring and going back and learning and doing it. So came up with endure, texted him, and he answered right away. He's like, yep, that's it. And so we stuck with it, and it just kind of has been what I've rolled with.
Yeah, it's such a good name. And I think going back to just what you said there, I think there isn't enough failure that's shown for new people. I think that there's a lot of, we're all guilty of it, but we all love watching those, 8-9 minute videos of people going out hunting and, they show up, they shoot their bow, they go out, they shoot an animal, they get it back 100%. In, and it's like, all right.
Yep.
And little do people know, you could be sitting in that tree stand for 2 months and not see anything, right? So
and that's the reality for most. And that's the reality for me still. Like, there's 9 times out of 10 some seasons where I'm going home without anything, and it's like the last final hour that I get a deer or not.
Right.
So you got to just stick with it.
Yeah, exactly. And you had a pretty awesome story. Was it last year with the deer that you shot on your family property?
That was 2 years ago now already.
2 years ago. Wow.
Yeah. So that was, he's my biggest buck. That, and up in Restool where that 200 acres is, that's like my favorite spot to go. Like, that's just where it all started for me. It's just this perfect land. And it means a ton to me too, because I'm really close to my grandpa and just love sitting down hearing his stories of running dogs or just shooting big bucks there. Yeah. And so I try to hunt up there every single year. And 2 years ago, go out there after my moose hunt in Kirkland Lake on the way home. I'm like, let's swing in here and I'm going to set up some cameras, put out a salt lick. So I put out the cameras, and then a couple weeks later, I believe it was October 28th or something, and my cell cam goes off, and this buck's on. And prior to those weeks, just does, and a couple forkhorns. And all of a sudden, this guy shows up at midnight. I was like, oh my goodness, that's a nice buck. Had a weird left side, kind of paddled out, a split G1, and then he showed up the next morning. And then the next night showed up. And so it was 3 nights in a row he showed up at dark. And so I was like, I don't want to just go and hang in there because he's not that close. Like, he's moving from somewhere and the temps were dropping. I'm like, he's coming in right after the doe was after dark. And he wasn't even like doing the salt. Like, he was just coming in, smelling around, leaving. So I decided to open up the maps on my laptop. And I just started kind of scouring and trying to piece together what I've learned off of other people's videos, like Whitetail Habitat, love his stuff. And so just kind of remembering what people have looked at. So I looked at the maps and I kind of looked where the hardwood ridges go into these beaver swamps. And I'm like, well, I know from being on this property a lot that there is good bedding back there. And it's a ways away. And he came from the same direction every time. So I was looking at that. And then I just found kind of a pinch point on this hardwood ridge that is probably 100 yards away from that bedding starting. And so I was like, I'm just going to do a hang and hunt. So I waited for 2 more days. It was going to be a good wind. Hike in there about 1 in the afternoon. And it was about a 15, 20-minute walk in. It's not too far back in there. And I'm just walking and walking. I'm like looking at trees. I'm like, no, it doesn't feel right. No, it doesn't feel right. And then I start second guessing myself like we all do. I'm like, I don't know where to set up. Yeah. And I just walked around the top of this knob and I saw this nice maple and I'm like, okay, I'm just doing it. That's the tree I'm picking. So I set up, I put a scrape in front of me just because the snow was there and you could kick up the dirt still because there was no frost. set up, and I'm like, I'm just made a game plan. I'm like, I'm going to rattle every 45 minutes on the dot and just sit. And so I'm sitting there. First hour goes by, nothing. Second hour goes by. Getting to that last like 45 minutes, 50 minutes of legal light. And I'm like, it's my last time to rattle. I'm like, I'm just going to smash these antlers together. And so I just hammered down, just crashing them.
It's like, I know you're out there.
Oh, yeah. And I just did it like really aggressive, like whacked my fingers so hard. And did that for about 30 seconds. And I just hung them up. And the whole night I didn't see a deer. And I'm like, I can't believe it, because I always see does in this one valley coming out this one spot. Didn't see a single deer. So it's starting to get in my head. I'm like, oh no, like nothing's going down. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I didn't even hear him. And it's wide, clear around me. Like I could see everywhere. And I kind of just turn over to the left, and he's standing just chest out at like 90 yards, looking dead towards me. I'm like, oh my goodness. And I had the camera, but it was like over to my right, because I had it on my fourth arrow camera, but wasn't smart, and I didn't bring it back. It was extended out. So I'm like, I'm not reaching out there.
No.
And so I'm kind of like watching him over my shoulder. He's like looking, but doesn't see anything. So I kind of just turn. I let out a little grunt with my throat, because my grunt tube's in my backpack. So I'm like, I'm not going to just do it with my throat. And I kind of like look over, and he starts coming. I'm like, no flipping way.
Wow.
And he's coming down, and he gets to about 40 yards, and then he stops, and then he just automatically turns to start getting downwind. And so he walks, and he's probably at this point like 35, and he starts going. And at that time, he goes by a tree. I quickly grab my bow, draw, and turn, and I just stopped him right when he came outside the tree, and I hit him, and he ran down and tumbled down the hill. And I was just like in shock, just shaking in the tree. And it all just went down. And then that's when I think I sent you guys on the group chat a picture like 2 minutes after I got him.
What?
And just couldn't. And he was heavy. He was, I think, I'm trying to remember what the butcher said, but he was over like 230 hanging at his shot.
Wow.
He was big. His rack was beautiful.
Yeah.
He was just a big body deer.
Big boy. Yeah.
And so I FaceTimed my kids and my wife, just shake, and they were screaming. It was just the coolest thing.
Yeah. Really, how is it we're going years without seeing deer? Josh walks in and sets up a stand and shoots this monster.
Yeah. And that's never happened for me. Never in 10 years has that happened for me.
I know. It's funny. It's like when I think about kind of my progression into it, it started off with a family member's property. He invited me up, and I'd get like a week for bear and a week for deer. If I didn't see anything, see it next year, right? Like that was my life for the last, I want to say 5 years. And then the last 2, I've been trying to branch out, doing some more scouting, going to more public spots. And then we bought the cottage that has all this crown around me. So I'm like, now there's like, I have this whole playground behind,
that's
that I just need to spend the time scouting. And then like last year, I think I found the spot.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, this is where deer should be, right? There's water down there. There's like cover over here. Like,
I remember you sending those photos.
And I'm sending it, and you're like, yeah, but is there any sign there? And I'm like, well, no, but it's like, it makes sense. There should be, right? And
they will come to me.
That's kind of the mentality you can get into. And then I set up there, and I was there for like a week. And I got does showing up in droves at 3:00 in the morning.
Yep.
But nothing else. And it's like, well, maybe they don't know about that spot. Maybe that's not the spot for them. Maybe they're somewhere. Well, they're probably somewhere else. Yeah. So it's all about finding those.
And it's hard. Like, you're not going to break their habits. Right? No. And like I did that. I'd probably say for the first 6 years, especially in bow hunting, I still got deer. But I think I missed a lot of golden opportunities, because I was the type, and I didn't know any better, but I was like, I'm hanging here, looks like a good spot, and I would sit there religiously.
Yeah,
like,
that's
any chance I could find, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, no deer tonight, back tomorrow night. No deer tonight, back tomorrow night. And then the last 4 to 5, I'd say I've been very mobile now. Very just moving, trying. Doesn't always work out perfect on like big deer, but like I see more. I find new spots. I find more sign. and I like it more. It's more like adventure and more of the hunt.
Yeah, it's more like you're detecting exactly where
Yeah.
they are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you and Dave were saying the same thing to me, that look, it's a nice spot, but
Yeah.
keep walking because you're
Yeah.
not quite there yet, right? So,
and it looks like Dave does that even more than me. Like he's just
oh,
the wolf on the prowl, man, just always moving and moving and hanging hunts, and it's sweet. I think I'd like to try getting into the saddle hunting. I've never tried a saddle yet.
it's awesome.
I want to try it because I think that would fit my hunting style a lot more.
I think so too. Originally, I thought it was kind of silly because you'd be moving more.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of swing.
Yeah.
I thought, why would this be so popular when if you're creating more movement, you're going to be easier to spot? But there's so many different positions that you can take when you're up there.
Yeah. And you can just stand on your platform back against the tree, right?
Yep. You can stand on your platform against the tree. You can I even use there's cutouts on the side of my XOP one that I have. I'll put my feet in the wedges of the cutouts. It's perfectly comfortable. Like you could even take the stand that you have now. So you have one of their which one is it? The XOP one that you have?
The Vanish.
Yeah, you could you could use that and just get the saddle and combine that with the saddle if you wanted to.
Is that true?
It's light, just slaps on the back of your backpack. You can take it anywhere. You can move. You don't like where you are, take it down, go somewhere else. Like it's and you've got that 270 degrees around the tree.
Yeah.
You have so many more angles that you can cover, which is wicked.
Yeah, I gotta try that for sure.
That's definitely awesome. Yeah, more scouting. That's
more scouting.
The name of the game this year for me. More scouting. Just want to take a quick break to talk to you about a couple of things that I've been using that I think might benefit you. One is this Numa Outdoors gear. This is in their Kaza OV pattern, which is great whitetail pattern when you're up in a tree in the fall and late season. They also have a Kaza pattern which has more green in it, which is good for spring through to the fall. Numa has given me a code to give to you of Caribou Media 20, which will save you 20% at checkout. Another product here that I've been using for years now is the Bulldog targets. This is a Canadian made target. They're made in Manitoba. They have a lifetime warranty. I've used that warranty twice now on a couple of my larger targets that are outside. It's very simple, very easy. These targets are 2-finger removal every single time, which is incredible. Field point only target. Bulldog's been gracious enough to give me a 20% discount code to give to you at checkout. Use code BD20-Caribou-Media. That'll save you 20% on these awesome targets. Now back to the show. Yeah. So Rocky boots, you've been wearing those for a while. How did that all start for you?
Yeah, I think I've been with them almost 4 years now. It's got to be. It's kind of similar thing. I was just on Instagram and I was following Tag and Brag, Dean and David for a while, and then I started talking with them and just kind of building a relationship there. And I just saw that they wear Rocky and are sponsored by them, and so I was talking with them about their boots, and they're like, "Yeah, why don't you just reach out to them and try them out?" And so then I just wrote Rocky, just again explaining, "Hey, this is like what I'm doing. This is the brand I'm starting, and this is my passion behind it. Love to try your stuff and post pictures for you guys, whatever." And then one of their reps wrote back. He's like, "All right." He's like, "Yeah, let's bring you on, and we'll send you some boots to try out." And it just went from there. And then I just started loving their stuff. I've got some stuff for the family. They have stuff for the kids, and I like it because I love wearing my Western boots and that kind of stuff. So I get everything from that to first responder boots for fire. And so they have everything. So it's been perfect, and they've just been real solid relationship and just good people, and it's just kind of grown from there. And so I want to get more into that and posting more. I think I'd say the last 2 to 3 years, even I've slowed down a lot on Instagram from what I was doing. Yeah. Again, just with the kids and family. And I found I was almost getting stressed about it because that whole thing with watching even 10-minute videos of these people being successful, it was in my head of just like, well, if I shoot this deer, are people going to judge me? Oh, if I don't get something, is this a good picture? Is the quality there? Like it kind of started robbing it for me on some aspects.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that. And so I was like, you know what? I still want to stay with Rocky, still want to do it, but I'm just going to step back and I'm just going to hunt. And I'm going to post kind of what I want to post. And the community I have, like even the small following I have, like they've been amazing. And I've just gotten back to enjoying that. I definitely want to ramp up again once I'm through like this next transition for work. And once the kids get older,
yep,
100% going to keep it going. But right now, just enjoying the hunting part. But Rocky's been beautiful with that, just very patient, not pressure me. Hey, if you don't get this, we're not going to be work with it. Like they've just been very supportive and it's been awesome. So, and I love their boots, like used them everywhere from Alberta to Colorado to all over Ontario.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It can definitely feel like it's robbing you of the enjoyment of it sometimes. Like,
yeah,
you know, it's the same thing with me. If I like with this whole podcast thing is kind of taken off a bit, so it's taking a lot of my time and trying to balance that with family and work. And then it's like, oh, I should have had another YouTube video out now on something that I used last year or something, right? And it's like, it'll come when it comes. Like, you know what? I can't keep a schedule anymore like I thought I could. Like it's just it's too much. And you know what? Maybe there's some times where I just want to go shoot my bow and not film myself doing it.
Yeah,
right.
100%. And that was my turkey hunt with my kids. I was like, you know what? Because I was thinking about that. Me and my buddy Mike got our birds opening day, fun day. And then on Sunday, I'm like, I want to take my kids out. And then my wife's like, you're gonna film it? And I was like, it's like, yeah, I probably should. Like, I need to get content. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna park the camera, take my kids out. One, it's already gonna be hard enough killing a turkey with a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
And two, I'm just gonna enjoy with them, and it was awesome. I was so happy I didn't have to get the camera out, and they were loving it. And I could focus just on them and them having
awesome.
fun. So, yeah.
And you did some guiding out in Alberta, you were saying?
Just with Dustin.
Okay.
Just with Dustin that time. We've kept in touch over the last 10 years now, here and there. And I did mention him, hey, like when I get settled in this new career and the kids get older a bit, I would love to come out for like 3 or 4 weeks a year or every other year. And because he has outfits now in the Yukon, I think he has 3 Yukon and then 2 in Alberta and 1 in BC maybe. But so he's expanded a ton. But I'd love to get back and do here and there trips, just helping out, learning, chasing different animals.
And you went down to Colorado with your wife on an elk hunt.
I did. Yeah, that was my second time in Colorado. Yeah.
How was that? How'd that go?
It was incredible. So that was kind of our 10-year anniversary trip that my wife was nice enough to agree that was going to be our 10-year anniversary trip.
Nice.
And it was amazing. She blew me out of the water. Like she took it serious before too, training. But so we spent 10 days down there hunting, DIY over the counter tag, hard hunt and busy area. I mean, the over the counter tags down there are, especially if you don't know where you're going, you don't have time to scout, you're going where everyone else is.
Right.
And so I have a friend down there who he moved from Colorado, but he still guides there. He guided there for like 20 years, still guides there. And he was nice enough to give me some of his locations that he personally used to go because he doesn't hunt there anymore. And so he's like, going to these spots, gave me 2. We went to the first spot, got in, and right away I heard bugles, but I was like, those aren't elk bugles. I'm like, those don't. Even though initially my heart rate went up, and then I knew in my heart, I'm like, no. And then sure enough, looked at my binos, there's a guy there. And we ran into quite a bit of guys back there. And I texted my buddy, he's like, man, it's flooded back here. And he's like, I've never had that before. And it was a nasty, nasty drainage. Like it was steep. It kicked our butts getting in, even worse getting out.
That's probably why they're changing the rules up there about non-residents coming
down. I don't love it because I want to go, but I also don't blame them because like crawling everywhere you go. And so that was our first kind of day. Didn't hear anything, didn't find any fresh sign. We moved locations, found a lot of fresh tracks, called in a whack ton of moose just for fun. We ran like anyone with a bull tag for moose in Colorado, I can tell you where they are. Because they called every time we come across a swamp, I'm like, there's 2 bulls. Start calling, they run in. Like it was insane.
Wow.
And so I think the first 3 or 4 days we didn't hear a bugle, didn't find really fresh stuff. And then we camped on this one side of the mountain. I'm like, let's go check this big spot. And so we're calling. I hear a really good bugle down below. I bugle back, and then we start getting closer. I'm like, I don't know. It sounds like a hunter. Sure enough, come to this clearing. Local hunter comes out. He's like, man, he's like, I thought you were a bull. I was like, well, that's encouraging to hear then.
Why, thank you.
So he's like, yeah, he's like, I got to get out of here. But head up there. Sometimes there's elks. We go up there. We're sitting down, and I hear our first bugle where right away I was like, that's a bull.
Yeah.
And so we tear off, get up there. And the most nightmare thing that everyone talks about, which is so real, is the wind. Like, you cannot get it to work with you. You swear it's working against you. And so we start closing in. I'm calling, and I can tell he's bedded because he's just kind of lazy bugling, not moving, but responding. And so I start creeping in. And then sure enough, as I'm creeping in at like 90 yards up, I look up, I'm like, stop. And I talk to my wife. She's on the camera. And there's a little 5x5 coming down. But right away, same thing, wind switches, he puts on the brakes, peels out, gone. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Still cool to see. And my poor wife didn't see the elk. She didn't see a single elk on this trip. Because every time we came across them, I'm like putting my hand up like this, and she's 10 yards behind me, and they're up in the bushes. So she saw some at the end, but on private land. But so we hunt there 2 more days. Couldn't find them. They weren't bugling. I must have ran that one out of there. And then I'm like, all right, there's a spot on the map that I was talking to my buddy about that I found that I'm like, this looks really good. And he's like, it's really good, but he's like, it is a pain to get up there and in there. He's like, you won't probably find anyone in there because it's bad. And so sure enough, on like day 5 or something, I'm like, babe, we gotta go for it. And she's like looking at it because you can see it wherever we drive. And she's like, okay. And so we threw most of her gear and mine in my pack because I'm like, I want to make this as enjoyable for her because it's going to suck.
Right.
And so I put most of it on my back, and we took off up the trail. We ended up bushwhacking for like 30 minutes because the local guy's like, oh, yeah, there's a trail there. You can follow it up. We're like, okay. Didn't find the trailhead. And so we just started bushwhacking. And we bushwhacked through like the gnarliest, thickest, horrible stuff where we're not even at the base of the mountain. We got to go up, and we're already like I'm trying to keep composure. And I look back, and my wife's just mad.
It'll be fine.
She's a little frustrated. And then we come to this flipping creek, and we go up 10 more yards, and there's a perfect trail that leads up to our truck that we just missed.
Oh,
so we just gassed ourselves. So we were happy we found it, but she was like, are you serious? And so, but that trail, it was like a horse trail. But it was steep switchbacks. Took us probably a good 2 hours of going up just to get up to the top. And got to the top, amazing drainage, like dark timber on the north facing slope, beautiful aspens and poplars on the south facing, like just textbook what you see on like Born and Raised Outdoors and all those guys. You're like, that's elk territory.
Right.
We set up our tent that night to go up bugling. I'm like, I hear something, like I heard a bugle way down there in the middle, like at like 2 a.m. And so go out there that morning, bugle, walk all the way to the end, hear nothing, see bulls finally down on the private. And as we start making our way down there, I just crack off a bugle, and one responds like 100 yards below us. I'm like, oh my goodness. And so he bugles again without me calling, and I can kind of hear that he's kind of coming under us to get, because at that point our thermals are going down. And so that's the whole other thing. You're dealing with thermals, not only wind.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, let's skirt to the left. We drop down, and we get on the same level as him, and start calling. And I come around this big tree, and there he is at 44 yards. And I'm like, oh, dang, I didn't know he was that close. I stopped my wife again, and she's behind the big tree. And so
I can't see it.
Dude. And he's facing me, and he comes a little bit closer, and then he stops. And so I knew it wouldn't work, but I'm like, I'm going to cow call. I cow call. And at this point, he's like, well, I can hear you. I should see an elk. And so I'm like, I kind of slip out, range him. I'm like, I'm going for it. Because I was practicing out to 70 religiously that summer. I'm like, I know I can hit it.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing that I saw was in the way. So I draw behind the tree, lean out, like raise up, lower down, settle, and release. And like right away on video, which I got to get set up, I look at my wife, I'm like, and I heard it hit, or I thought it did. I'm like, good shot. Like, when you shoot and release, you're like, it either was a good arrow or a bad. Like before the arrow even hits the target, you're like, okay, I pulled there or whatever. but I just felt solid. I was like, no, I got it. So he tears down. I run up, knock another arrow, see him coming, and he's walking slow. So I'm like, perfect. And he starts coming to a clearing. I draw about to shoot, and then he kind of takes off into the thick stuff. I'm like, oh, whatever. I couldn't get a second shot. So we sit there for like 5 minutes, and I start looking around where he was standing. I'm like, okay, I don't see any blood, but that's okay. Like, I've picked up blood trails quite a ways away. 20, 30 minutes go by. I'm like, I'm going to start trailing. And I start following his tracks and like go like to 50 yards. I'm like, okay, not a drop. Keep following. I'm like, okay. And so I stop. I'm like, maybe it's a bad shot, back out. And then my wife, while I was trailing, I'm like, stay here. She's sitting on the log rewatching the footage. And she's like, listen to it. I'm like, what? I watch it and I see me shoot. I'm like, I looked like I was calm. I'm like, what? She's like, no, like, listen to it closer. And I was like, okay. And right after I shoot, you can hear a little tick and then a hit, but the hit sounds way too far for 44 yards. And so I go back to our shoot, and there's one branch that I didn't see, and it must have deflected it. Because after replaying in my head and then watching it when I released, I'm like, that sounded like an 80-yard shot where it hit, not a 44. And so we double checked the whole area for the arrow, and I trailed him for as long as I could, not drop blood. And as we're trailing him, he cracks off up the mountain, just bugling. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So I text my buddy. I'm like, this is what happened. He's headed way north on this spot. And I send him the map, and he sends me a spot. He's like, check, like, follow it up to this area, and he'll be in this bench. Sure enough, he's on that bench. We start getting closer, and we spend 45 minutes creeping in. And then I can start seeing the cows kind of working around. And I didn't even call this time. He bugled on the dot every minute. Just locate bugles or round them up. I don't know.
Yeah, time to go.
And then I start seeing them, and they're just kind of like milling about and moving. And he's just bugling, and he starts screaming. And then at this point, I'm probably only 60 yards. They have no idea we're here because we're just creeping in. Wind's perfect for the hour. The wind's coming right across our faces. And so I get into like 60 yards, couldn't get any closer, let out a couple cow chirps, and I see him break off, and he starts coming up, just bugling, and he's just behind this fallen tree and starts coming around, and me and my wife just feel wind on her neck. And he just stops behind the tree and busts out of there. Like, I mean, took the whole herd with him down the mountain over. 20 minutes later, he's bugling behind us where we just were. And so we got on him one more time that day. After that, same thing, got to within like 40 yards, wind swirled. They were out of there before I could see him.
Wow.
After that, it was moose. And took my wife to where my dad and I hunted and a couple of years prior, and I knew there'd be elk there. Sure enough, they were there on the private, just on the other side, bugling, chasing. So we got to watch them. We tried to call them across, but knew that would be a not easy feat. So in the end, I was definitely discouraged going home empty-handed, but like spending that time in one of my favorite spots with my wife and her experiencing it and like seeing how much she enjoyed it. Because on the way home, I could see it kicked her butt. She's tired and sore. And I'm like, man, like, I can't wait to do this again. I just got to like figure out who wants to go next. And she looks at me, she's like, what do you mean who's going next? I'm like, you want to go again? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay.
All right.
Perfect. So
Sweet.
Says in the next 5 years we'll make it happen, at least for me to go, if not with her. But we'll see. That's with awesome. All the tagging system now. I don't know.
Well, yeah, it wasn't until I started hearing about you going down to Colorado that I thought I always just in my head had it that, you know, it's going to be like anywhere else.
Yeah.
Like, especially up here where in Canada, where most provinces you need to have a host or a guide or pay an outfitter or whatever. So I just kind of put it out of my mind. And then CJ was saying, you know, why don't we apply for Pennsylvania elk? I'm like,
heck yeah. They got some big ones too. Oh.
Like, yeah, you just need to buy a tag and go. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
So we did that this year. So we'll see if that works out. But
yeah, I think Idaho still does over the counter.
There's a few. Yeah.
I know. I don't know if Montana does. Montana is interesting though, because I was looking at applying for points in Montana, in Colorado, and Idaho. I missed Montana, but I was talking to a buddy. He's a full-time firefighter in Edmonton, and he applied because he went to Montana last year. But it's weird there. You actually have to buy the elk tag at Montana, which is like $2,000 after all your tags or all your costs as a Canadian. And then if you don't get the draw, they'll reimburse you.
What?
Yeah. Because I
Wow.
asked him, I was like, hey, how much was it to like buy a point or to apply? He's like, well, you actually have to pay up front for your tag and everything. If you don't draw it, they'll reimburse it back and you'll get a point.
That's so silly. Wow.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, I'm not forking out $2,500 right now. So
no. Well, when I went out to BC, I think it was like $300, and then they said if you were successful, there would be a trophy fee on top of that.
okay. Did they tell you how much that would be?
I want to say it was either might have been $200 or $300.
Okay, so nothing insane, but
no. Basically, you're almost paying for two.
yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean. Like when we were out there 2 years ago, like I get home and I'm like, I don't have a single bugle on video, right?
Yep.
Because you were trying to, like, the smoke was out, right, from the fires, and
yeah.
I couldn't charge the batteries very well because of the all the smoke coverage and stuff. So like we had a solar panel, but trying to do the best we can with what we got. So it'd be like, okay, turn the camera on. Okay, bugle. Okay, turn it off. And then you'd hear a response, right? And it's not, I don't know how it was for you down there, but it's not always like these epic bugles that you hear.
No.
Sometimes it's like a quarter of a full cadence of a bugle that you're hearing, or just a little noise, right? It's not always 100%. This epic, like, I'm over here.
Yep.
Right?
And I feel like unless you really time it in a perfect spot where it's like rot fest, like even the ones we heard, like when he responded to me, which we have it on film, but it wasn't like this aggressive big thing. It was more just a, hey, I'm over here. Nothing crazy. We didn't hear any of those. Even any of the locate ones I heard like in the night, they were just short, high pitch, and then done. Like there wasn't.
Yeah.
It's hard down there, especially with and we were competing with muzzleloader hunters too. And I don't know the area. Like I don't know when the rut's going to be. And so it's just, there's so many factors. And us for our batteries too, is we were camping up on the mountain. And so like it dropped down cold at night. So like our batteries would be dying overnight. So we had battery chargers, but yeah, and for my wife too, she's never been in the mountains doing that. So she's now hiking up crazy steep stuff. All the blowdowns are insane. And she's trying to film, and I'm trying to tell her when to film, when not. And she's trying to kind of read that. And so I was like, film what you can do, and let's just like have fun. Like,
there's a lot of things you learn when you're out there, because that
you
can't necessarily learn from. You have to experience it, right? Like
100%.
Like when we were up and we camped on one of the mountains out there in BC, and like I get into my sleeping bag, and I've had this sleeping bag for so long, I don't even know what the like temperature is for it. It's been amazing everywhere I've taken it. I've never been cold in it. So I get into it like I'm camping, right? Like not thinking that, temperatures, it's gonna get cold, right? And I dropped to like -1 or -2, and I'm not wearing a whole heck of a lot, and I wake up like shivering at 1 a.m, just thinking, you dumbass, like, what are you doing? And I look over, and here's my son, 16-year-old son at the time, all bundled up. He's got gloves on, he's got his hat, and he's like just all
curled up,
fast asleep. And I'm like, he had the wherewithal to put his stuff on.
Yep.
So I put everything back on again. It's all just like you learn as you go. But
you don't like people tell you the temperature range is different, but it's so different where you are just like, you go shirtless in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And want to go swimming in the cold rivers we were sitting around a fire at night cold with gloves on and hats. And it gets to you.
Yeah. 100%. How did you find the Mystery Ranch bag while you were out there?
It was incredible. Yeah. Thank you for that. It was insane because it fit me perfect. And then just even the amount I could put in there, even it, like you said, like it collapses on the day trips we took. It collapses right down. It's not this big clunky thing. Yeah. And then when I had to carry a lot of my wife's stuff up the one mountain, I mean, I loaded that thing down.
You just
fully extended past that with my bow on it and everything. And it still carried so solid. Like
nice.
It sat on my waist nice. I didn't feel it pulling. I've tried a couple other packs before that they really kill me on my traps here, and they just don't fit me on that one. It supported really well. for the big hauls and for the day trips. And then my wife used the small pack that comes like the add-on.
Oh, the gravelly, yeah.
So she used that, which is perfect because you could fit her food in there and a little water bladder and then a couple batteries and stuff for the day trips. She loved it.
Oh, perfect.
So she used that. I used the other one, and it was perfect. The only other time I used Mystery Ranch was when I went out with Dustin Rowe because I showed up with like this $100 rigid frame from Cabela's fabric bag. And he's like, nope, it gives you a Mystery Ranch like you're using this. So
yeah.
It's only been good experiences.
Yeah, there's so many different things out there. Some packs have like, some people complain about the frames being too, either too rigid or they move around too much. It's just you got to find what fits well for you. I'm eager to try these initial ascent ones. I don't know if you've seen them.
I've heard great things from them. I really want to try the Stone Glacier packs. They're just expensive to buy from Canada. Yeah. I mean, they all are.
Yeah, they all are. Yeah. But watching these people at these like Hunt Expo stand straight up with these, initial ascent packs on, and they've got 150 pounds on their back, and they're just like, "No, I don't. There's no way." Yeah. Like they're like, "Yep, that's 150 pounds." Just the way the frame kind of stretches out, and they've got hooks on the side, so you're instead of wearing it right on your back, you're kind of blading it out,
goes wider
to the sides. It's pretty cool.
No, I've heard great things from them.
So what are you I know you're a big bear hunter too, and we're getting into that time of year. What kind of things do you do to get ready for that?
For that, I like to. So it took me a couple of years to learn bears, mainly because I never really had any friends when I moved up here getting like into that. And so again, I kind of just did research, and then I met an older gentleman who kind of started giving me some tips and stuff. And mainly now I focus on finding thick cover near water, and I like to do it on higher points like hills. Yeah, mainly for the scent going down. So my main spot right now, which I haven't moved my barrel in 3 years now because I have 2 spots and bears every year. And actually a buddy of mine, his barrel is only 400 yards from mine, and we're still getting different bears. Some of them cross over, but basically I focus on that thick coverage where they come in safe, feeling safe, and that water because they just love being around water, especially up here. And then I'll get my barrel filled up. I used to do the big hole on the front. Now I only do shaker barrels. Okay. It just saves me a ton of time. I don't have to go back there and wreck it with scent all the time. And it just saves a ton of money and makes the bear stay there longer. So I just drill a couple holes. I use dog food and popcorn. Okay. I did get some of the barrels from Sugar Addicts. And they were great. But I just found I could pop my own popcorn. And then I always, every time I hunt, I'm doing a honey burn. And so I'll just bring the soup can, I'll pin it to the tree, I'll put maple syrup and honey in it, and then I'll put Kool-Aid powder in it. And I'll just have my little torch and I'll just get that white smoke going. I'll do that for about 10 minutes before every hunt. And that's what I shot when I shot that good boar 2 years ago now. And he was coming in, but the wind was kind of sketchy. So I waited. The wind was good. And about 20 minutes after I did that honey burn with that Kool-Aid powder, he came right down from when that smoke was going, and I shot him. And then I always put fryer grease down.
Yeah, it's funny. I just did one a few days ago with Dave specifically about bears. It hasn't come out yet, and all the same stuff, right?
Yep.
It's staple. Like, go to a restaurant. They'll probably give it to you for free because they got to pay to get that stuff. Yeah. I've used molasses before. I went crazy flinging molasses everywhere. Yep. Popcorn is huge.
Another thing I do is I bring vanilla mixed in a spray bottle, like a good spray bottle, and I'll spray it as high as I can in the trees.
Oh, nice.
So that it's getting like 10, 15 feet up there and stays for a long time. And vanilla helps like block the scent receptors for whitetails too and bears. So yeah. So even like for whitetail, it sounds crazy, and I don't know if it's proven, but this old timer a couple of years ago told me he always brings a tampon soaked in pure vanilla extract and he hangs it in his tree stand when he deer hunts.
No way.
Because that's like what nose jammer is. It's vanilla. And I've done it, and I've had a couple instances where I've had some deer downwind, and like they smell something, but they're not busting.
They don't know what it is. I'm like,
so I use the vanilla for the bear too, and so basically scent. Like they're gonna eat pretty well anything. I find, I've tried using like the corn deer feed stuff. They'll eat it, but I found the popcorn and the dog food they just eat, or anything carb loaded like breads and stuff they love. But I don't have a big connection for that up here yet.
Yeah, that trail mix from Sugar Addict looks pretty good, or the cookie bag or whatever. Donuts, fuck whatever.
And they're pretty reasonable prices. I think I got the metal 55-gallon drum with like the ice cream cones and different caramel popcorn in it for it's like $130.
Yeah,
like for the barrel fully loaded. Now I didn't think it through on how I'm going to get that into my bait spot because I don't have a quad. So there I am with my daughter, just with gloves, rolling it up these hills. It took me like an hour and a half to maybe like 400 yards.
Oh,
but
yeah. The spot I went to last year near my cottage, and it's just like you said, it's a straight downhill on a 45-degree angle, and at the very, very, very bottom, there's a stream that runs down to a lake. So as I'm walking down there, there's like, oh, there's somebody's barrel up there. Like, oh, there's another barrel over there.
Oh, geez, yeah.
This looks like this might be a pretty popular spot. Yeah, sure enough, I ran into a sow with a cub last year in that spot. So,
are you you're going back in a couple of weeks or this week?
I might try this weekend. We're probably going to go up to open everything up, and I'll probably just hike around a bit, see what I can find.
Nice. I'd go with you, but I'm going to be busy in the turkey woods again. So.
Oh yeah. We'll link up there. I want to show you everything up there and get your.
Yeah, because you're not
2 cents.
You're not also far from the family property, right? Like you're not too far from Restool, are you?
Yeah. No. Yeah, it's just south. It's in between Burks Falls and Huntsville.
Okay, yeah, so not too far.
Yeah, it's there's so much land up there.
Oh my goodness, I know.
It's just like it's amazing. And
it's the sweet spot with the family property is it backs onto like I think it was like 5,000 or 6,000 acres of crown. And like you could go back there forever. They do have some doggers back there in camps, but there's so much crown up here. It's insane. Even between where I work here and Bracebridge, I think there's got to be like 10, 12,000 acres. And that's turkey hunt now. They're just littered in here.
Even like I'll go along one of the ATV trails and you'll see people's camps that they've built on the crown. And but every time I'm up, they must just be coming up for the rifle season because whenever it's bow season, I'm the only guy. I've never seen another soul, up, which is great.
And that's kind of like where I hunt down here. It's busy in the summer because there's some spots that people can like tent and stuff. But as far as hunting season, I won't go back there and rifle because it's just saturated. But bow season and bear season aren't too busy. There's some guys who run dogs back there every year. But other than that, like there's not a ton of bow hunters up here. Like there's a few of us, but for the most part, it's hunt camps for rifle.
Yeah, moose. Usually when the moose season starts up there, you'll see like an army of people showing up in orange. But other than that, it's.
Oh my goodness. We've had like on 118 here, I've had guys where I'm driving for deer season and there's 4 of them walking along the highway on the edge with their loaded rifles. And I stop, like, what are you guys doing? They're like, oh, our guys are pushing bush over here towards us. I'm like, you're on the highway. You're literally on a paved highway walking. I'm like, get off the road. And they're getting on my ass. So I just left them. I was like, whatever. But it's just crazy. Every single spot you can pull off, there's someone for the 2 weeks.
Yeah. It's wild. Yeah. Well, I've had you on here for almost an hour. Can you let everybody know how they can find you?
They can find me on Instagram, endure.outdoors, and then on YouTube. My YouTube will get back up and running shortly. I have a lot of footage I need to sort through and start getting episodes out again, but mainly on Instagram and on YouTube.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you already have 1 turkey for yourself. You got another one with your kids, or is it 2 you got?
I'm tagged out.
You're done. Yeah.
I'm done. So now I'm on to my buddy right after I got my second bird. He called me. He's like, "Can you come out next Saturday with me? I got a stubborn bird." And then my brother just texted me this morning. He's like, "Can you take me and my son out?" So Saturday, gonna take my buddy out in the morning, and then Sunday probably gonna take my brother and my nephew out and try to get them on public land. The public land's fun, but you got to go a long distance to find them.
Yeah, I've seen them here and there around here. I've got the farmer release across the road again this year, so
nice.
I did see a trail of them walking in there. So
Perfect.
I'll probably go.
Hey, if I'm still working down towards you in the next coming weeks and you're off, maybe I could scoot down and I'll bring the camera and
yeah, that'd be good. We'll see if we can find anything.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
See ya.